All right. All right, thank you, everyone. Stanley, good to see you out there in the audience. So we're going to call to order our third budget work session, third and last, for the 2022-2023 proposed town budget. We'll start with our town manager real quick, Jim Tierney, to get us started. Jim, thank you.
Good evening, everyone who's watching from home, folks that are here this evening. The purpose of these meetings is so that the council and the public can have an opportunity to listen to the department heads speak in detail about their budgets and to support them. The staff does a great job in giving insight into everything that they do to the council and the public, and we encourage people to participate. And I'd like to thank the staff who are here this evening presenting for their departments. Thank you, and to the council.
Thanks, Jim. Also, just a quick note, Councilor Kopech is out of the state still, so she's not going to be able to make it tonight. I think Councilor Cicilline Bonanno is running a little bit late, but she'll be here for this third session. And for anyone watching at home, we are going to cover Parks and Rec, as well as the sub-departments, and Public Works, as well as the road bond. And then we'll get back to finance and just some general revenue and transfer items this evening. Chris, did you have anything else? Do you have anything to say before we get started, or should we go right to Michelle?
I don't have anything new. I don't have anything new to say. So
Okay. Okay, great. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Council President Pugh, members of the council. I believe we should start with page 59 on my end. After reviewing the general budget with Christine, we do have a 5.5% increase, which you can see across the board. However, I'm quite grateful that it's not higher than it is. So on page 59, if you go down, I usually like to start around the fund 1810-50202, contracted services. All of the funds before that are going to be funds in regards to payroll, longevity, Social Security contributions, health insurance, life, etc. So those increases happen mandatory based on our funding and based on the policies and procedures that we have in place. So when I examine our general budgets, I usually go, again, right to the 50202 contracted services, and that's across the board, not only with administration, but parks maintenance, recreation, the community center, the beach, Middlebridge, and K-Bay. Again, I like to really look at, the, as I call it, the meat and potatoes of our operation. So as you see, we do have, though we have a 5.5% increase, after examining the budget over the last 3 years, you can see where I have made some cuts. Though they seem small in respect, overall they have assisted us with the overall reduction of the budget. So again, moving on to page 60, again, our operating supplies, which I reduced this year. Gas and lubrications actually had a slight increase, but again, all minimal. Moving on to page 61, our Parks Maintenance Department. Again, as you see down below, starting with 50206 fund, there's no increases. Again, you'll see a reduction as well. Again, after examining the funds over the last 3 years, again, making cuts here and there of $500, $1,000. Purchase water service, I reduced that slightly, again, just after review over the last couple of years. We did have an increase, as you'll note, on Fund 50515 for playground maintenance. As you know, we are very hopeful to start replacing some of our older play structures throughout town. So that's the reason why you're seeing that request for an increase there. Moving on, page 63. Recreation. Again, going down to our 50201 code for professional services. Again, That actually went up, and the reason for that is the cost increase for different services that we offer at camp, from clowns to musicians, people that come in and play music, etc. So again, that's just a cost increase for those services that we've seen. Moving on, page 64, you'll see an increase for basketball. Again, the costs for basketballs themselves, basketball nets, equipment to blow up basketballs, etc. Again, they're just cost increases that we have to be mindful of that happen each year, and therefore we have to try to make sure we have enough money in the budget. But again, just a slight increase. We had just requested $2,000 more for that particular budget. Our concerts did increase, as well as our fireworks. I was told by the fireworks company after the last fireworks display that there would be increases in the future. Now, of course, that's something that we do at Christmas time, go out to bid. So we'll see. Maybe we will get a low bidder and we won't need to spend that much money. Moving on to our community center, page 65. Again, as you'll see, we have made a reduction on the lower half of that particular fund for the community center. Again, I examined the funds over a 3-year period and decided to reduce some of the funds based on, again, the spending that we were doing. On page 66, you will see a slight increase of $700 due to the electricity rates that have gone up. In addition, we felt the need to increase our building maintenance and repairs budget. Again, as you know, that's a brand new building there, and we need to be able to keep it in good working order. And we found that the various services for Encore Fire Protection, as well as EW Audette, our electrical services, and other services like that are costing us more money. So I want to make sure that that budget stays at a good level so we could fund those projects as they come along. Moving on to the beach. Again, that's...
Actually, can we just ask a few questions?
Certainly.
And then also, before we do the beach, could we do the capital? Is there capital? There's capital for...
Yes, sir. I can certainly move to capital.
So capital is page 60.
So, sir, do you want to do Parks Capital?
Yes, that'd be great.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. So again, our landscape trees, as you see, we budgeted $3,000 over the next 3 years. And again, the reason for that is to plant trees throughout our parks community, as well to budget for the Christmas tree each year. We've been lucky the last few years, the Christmas tree has been donated, but of course we can't rely on that, and we need to make sure we have the money in the budget for that. Parks 2 vehicle replacement. After speaking with Steve Dano and also the town manager and Christine, the Parks and Recreation Department opted not to purchase a new vehicle this year. Though the Ford that we have currently that's being used is older, it is, it is okay. We've been getting it serviced, so, and it is, working fine. We also have the van, so at this point I felt we really didn't need to have another vehicle this year or a new vehicle at this year. And then hopefully next year we will put that in the budget to have a new Chevy Equinox that Steve had suggested that we purchase. But again, this year we did not decide to do that. Our lighting replacement, again, this is for our parks lighting. We are hoping down the road to move to LED lighting. With the assistance of the engineering department, I recently submitted 5 applications to National Grid for potential rebates. The application process was no cost and no obligation. But apparently the program, if we were to move forward with something like that, would basically pay for itself over an 8-year period. So again, those applications haven't come back yet, but it sounds like it's a pretty good program. So we'll see what happens when the results of that come back. Court resurfacing, as you know, we have a bid currently pending for the courts to be resurfaced, the basketball court, that is, at Clark Road. In the next fiscal year, I hope to have 2 additional basketball courts, Eastward Look and Metatuxet, redone as well, and that will finish the basketball courts within our town that needed to be fixed. Parks rehabilitation, touched on that briefly, again, regarding getting new playground structures. I received a call from a woman in the North End regarding the Pettisquamscot Tot Park. That's the smaller park up in the North End. Her complaint was that it looked old, and it is a 20-plus-year-old structure, so we will look into getting that replaced as well. I also have hopes to get the older kids' play structure at Sprague Park, the 5 to 12-year-old structure, rehabilitated, and that we have a quote for already, and we're hoping to move forward with that soon. Equipment replacement. The Parks Maintenance Department is in need of a new Kubota tractor. We do have a quote for that of $62,000. That Kubota tractor is going to replace a 1920 International, which is 30-plus years old. We're hoping to get that purchased, and that's going to be a split purchase between the Parks Maintenance Department and the beach. So half of that cost will come from the beach and half will come from Parks. The reason we're doing that split is because that Kubota will not only assist with all of the parks maintenance, and it will also assist with the beach barber rake. That piece of equipment will be able to pull the beach barber rake. So again, it's a twofold type purchase, so between the beach and parks maintenance. And again, it is replacing that 30-plus-year-old 1920 International. Fence replacement, again, as you know, we still have 2 outstanding projects with Costco. They have not yet fixed the fence at Sprague Park, and they have not yet installed the 30-foot protective ball netting fencing. So right now, I'm at a standstill with any additional projects moving forward until they complete those projects, because we do have the 2 outstanding purchase orders pending, and we need to get that work done before June 30th. After that, we'll continue with the rest of the black vinyl replacement fence at Sprague. A lot of that's already been done, but we have a big section that hasn't been finished yet. Building renovations at Parks. Our hope is to begin the process of replacing the flooring at our restrooms throughout town. As you know, last year we did have the floors replaced at the tennis building with that hard kind of epoxy type material. They wear well, clean well, fairly inexpensive. So we're hoping to start that at our various different locations throughout town. Camp renovations. As you know, it is our hope to do something with the recreation building and make it a full-time, year-round venue. The holiday fair was a fabulous event that we had this past December. Our children's camp is there. I think the building can be used as a year-round building if we could get heat and AC in that building. We also need to get additional windows replaced as well that I'd like to work on. So that money that's currently in that account, I'm hoping that that can be used towards those projects. And then, of course, the Canachet Farm. I did put in and requested that money. However, as you know, we are hopeful that we're going to hear the results of the DEM grant in the next 30 days. If we do, as you know, that's just a 20% match. So again, we're hopeful that we do get that grant and are awarded that. So again, if not, it's obviously your decision whether we receive that money. But again, we are hopeful to not need it and be awarded the grant.
All right, thanks, Michelle.
You're
So
welcome.
Susan, we're on the Parks and Rec item, so we haven't moved on from that one yet. Do we have any questions from the council for Michelle? I have a few, just for some clarification. For the fireworks,
Yes, sir.
does that include, are we still splitting the 4th of July fireworks with Dunes Club?
We are, sir, yes.
So that 5,000 includes that and the Christmas fireworks? Was it 5,000?
Hold on, let me get that. 8,500.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
8,500.
So actually, that is not going to quite cover it. So the fireworks have increased. It's going to cost us, it's on the next, I'm sorry, it's on for the May 2nd agenda. The fireworks are going to cost us about $15,000, and that's our half of it with the Dunes Club. Unfortunately, it's just a cost increase. I only recently got the quote from the Dunes Club, so again, if we need to borrow some money from our family and Narragansett family and friends for that show, that's where we'll get the extra money from that.
Okay, so, but we're budgeting 8,500.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
For the summer camp programs, are you intending to bring back the field trips this year?
We do have a few scheduled field trips. In fact, if you'd like, we're just finalizing the plans for the summer programming, and I could certainly email that to you in the next couple of days if you'd like.
Sure.
But yeah, we're definitely bringing back the field trips. yeah.
Okay, that's great. For the playground maintenance, so that doesn't go into capital because it's just like general maintenance. It's not, or is there like new structures?
This would be, well, it could be either or. It could be new structures. Something big should go into capital, though. A brand-new structure is going to be in the area of 50,000 to
Right.
however much. So the maintenance end of it in the general budget would be for, like what we want to do for the Sprague Park refurbishing. That quote's at about $17,000. I have the money in there now, so that's what we hope to use for that.
Okay.
But the bigger projects would definitely have to be capital.
Okay, got it. For capital, so I saw that you had the linear park in there, which
Yes,
you
sir.
applied for the DEM grant. So I'm just trying to figure out how this works in the budget. We have 80,000 designated in the budget, and that would only be spent if we get the DEM grant,
Correct.
right? Okay. Okay. And then I know that linear park was on a agenda item a while back that we approved, which was for you to apply for multiple different grants. So the pickleball courts, I think, were they on there, pickleball courts in Christopher? Was that on there?
Yeah,
And
we
then the
had 4.
gazebo.
Correct.
So those aren't in these line items,
No.
but they're still applied for. I was just wondering if there was a reason why they're not showing up here as covered by grants if approved. You know, like we've done for like all the ARPA things, even though they're not necessarily going to happen.
You know, I suppose we should have included all 4 of the projects that that we had presented or applied for with DEM. So that's probably something I should have done. Yeah.
It's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still applied for. It's not like, I just wasn't sure if there's a reason why they weren't in there.
No, and it's a good point. We should have put all 4 of them.
And then my
can fix
last
that
question
going
is
forward.
just for prior year funding, just so I know how that works. So there's 4 items here that are, the funding would be prior year's funding. So obviously those projects haven't happened yet.
Correct.
How does it work, like, technically, when something's prior year's funded? Because it wasn't used. Does it go back into general fund?
No, it stays in the capital, and it'll stay in that project account, and we'll just carry it forward. And sometimes it might be used for something else, like the community centers has that 20
Correct, yeah.
So
something
is it kind of
thousand.
like an unassigned fund balance, but just for capital projects?
Kind of, sort of,
Parks and
yeah,
Rec?
within a department.
Does that show up in our general fund unassigned fund balance or our surplus? Or does it not show up in there?
It shows up in an amended budget. That usually gets done after the audit is final.
Okay.
Then we'll carry those amounts forward. and it'll just show a capital fund balance.
Gotcha. Okay,
We're about 2 million.
for Parks and Rec?
No,
For
all.
general capital fund,
General
unused, gotcha, 2 million. Okay, great, thanks. So the beach fund is 98 for the operating. For the public's copy, it's page 73. And then for capital, we're on 94, but 98 for operating.
So the account, again, starts at 98. And again, the first page is all of our revenue accounts. And this page always confused me because everything was in the negative, and I didn't actually understand how that worked, but that's because they're revenue accounts. So moving on to the bottom of page 99, like I had said initially, so I always move right down to the account 50201, professional services. And as you see, again, I looked at the budget in the last 3 years of the spending, and I have made some reductions to some of the accounts. As you'll see, we do have an increase, account number 50216 for police protection. Last week, myself and the beach manager met with Chief Corrigan to go over our operation plan for the shoulder season, pre-summer and then post-season. So that money has been requested in the budget to satisfy those police details that we will probably need. Again, moving to page 100, as you'll see, I have made additional reductions in several accounts. After your review, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Any questions from the council?
The fund balance? 1 minute, please. That's okay.
So the beach fund, unassigned fund balance is, I'm looking, about 4.7 million. But again, 875 of that is for the revolving fund where we put for disaster recovery.
The storm reserve?
That's almost one, storm reserve. I believe so,
Yes,
right?
sir.
875? Yes.
How are you managing the decreases? I'm just curious because
So-
it's great.
Right. So what I do is, whenever we talk about the budget with our Munis system, I could go in and pull each fund, each account, and it gives us basically the last 3 years of how much money we had in there and how much money we spent. So I examine those figures. The cost of toilet paper, is it going up, is it going down, cleaning supplies, brooms, et cetera. And I basically take a hard look and say, all right, you know what? We had a bit of a leftover this year, so let's see if we can make a little reduction here and there. So again, it's not great reductions, it's a couple thousand here and there, but again, overall, it's assisting with kind of the reduction of the entire budget. Because I don't believe in just keeping money in there if we really don't have to.
Great. And then I just have a question about 2 line items. Electricity increase, is that just due to energy rates, or is there a specific upgrade that we did to?
Energy rates, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then what's OTH improvements?
Other improvements?
Oh. Ah,
It's
interesting. I've heard of that. So very technical. So is there something that's included in that category that is causing the $70,000 increase?
If I may say, it's in her capital. So once you get to those accounts,
Oh, okay, it's in capital.
it's not in our capital general fund, but it's in her beach fund, but it's still part of capital.
So we'll go through those. Okay,
Yep.
great, thanks. Any other questions from the council? Okay. All right, so,
So, no, they're not dragging their feet. I spoke to, I can't remember his name. I spoke with him on Friday, and I asked him if there was a delay in parts or exactly what the problem is. And he said, no, they were just, again, coming off the winter time. They assured me that the parts were in, they had their staff back in, and they'd be moving on it quickly. And from my standpoint, as you know, once we get approval for these big projects, my staff at Parks and Rec automatically will do a purchase order so we can get the ball rolling on things. If we don't have that work done by June 30th, then we have to close out that purchase order and do a whole one all over again. So that's why we try to, I don't want to use the word push these companies, but they've been awarded these projects, so we hope to get them done in the most expeditious manner as possible, especially since it's baseball season.
Also, if you don't mind, I have to stand corrected. Her fund balance is $4,000,005. Yeah. I
have another
I really
seven.
just, I couldn't read it too well. 4.05 million.
okay,
Okay, so then there's all the capital plus the 875,000 reserve.
got it.
Minus, yeah.
All right, okay, so we're page 94 for capital improvements.
So as you had asked earlier, other improvements, beach. So we hope to continue, again, with the general overall maintenance and improvements at Narragansett Town Beach. And that's, again, dunes, fencing, whatever we need to make it and keep it look as beautiful as it is. We also are in desperate need of a PA system. I'm sure Councilman Cicilline Bonanno can attest to that. Again, you can't hear from one end to the beach to the other. We have an old kind of receiver type system, so it never could. Right. So I think it would be helpful for safety and security purposes if we could invest in some type of Wi-Fi system. Again, it's out of my wheelhouse, but I'm hoping that we can get something in the works where you can hear throughout the beach special announcements, lost children, surf conditions, issues in the water like jellyfish that we had last year, and all things like that. Beach 2, sand replenishment. At this point, I don't believe we are going to be doing sand replenishment this season. Again, I'll confer with the town manager over the next couple weeks regarding that. We will be having a sand distribution by Sherman's. And I don't know if, I know Eva said she was at the beach recently. We do have a big pile of sand in the Cabana Horseshoe area that's going to need to come out and be redistributed throughout the beach. But again, it's just a redistribution. So if you receive any calls from any constituents, again, right now we are not putting more sand on the beach, but we do need to grade and redistribute.
Is the,
So I think initially right now, where we're at is because we have so much sand built up in certain different areas of the beach, we're hoping that the redistribution of the sand could possibly be enough to cover the low areas that we usually have coming off of the winter. So again, it's not a definite decision that we're not putting sand. You know, we definitely haven't made that decision, but we are kind of rethinking it since we do have these high areas throughout the beach and want to see what it's going to look like once we redistribute it and get it graded. North Beach Clubhouse is the next one. As you know, we are hopeful to get a roof deck. So now we're going through CRMC. We need to get a better design plan for CRMC to get the permit, and then we're going to put that project out to bid. We have a tent bid out again. The current tent company that we have was kind enough to extend for 1 month. So if you saw, we did have a tent up this weekend for a ceremony. Everything went well, so the tent is now down. And so again, we're hoping to move that process and RFQ along quickly so we can get that project started. Number 4, beach, renovations to the South Pavilion lockers. Again, this is something I know Steve was talking about, I've been talking about as well. The South Pavilion lockers generate $96,300 in revenue for us. So I'd like to get them upgraded. I don't know if we should make more of them or keep them where they're at, but they are a great revenue tool that we have at the beach. So again, I need to get a design plan, whether it's just to refurbish them and not really spend too much money. But again, it is a good money maker for the beach. 80. We're still at 80. They're holding on tight. Yeah. Beach 5, storm reserve, we already talked about that. Beach 6, we already spoke about, the new PA system, hopefully for the beach. And then, of course, buildings. We often need various different repairs to the buildings throughout the beach. And again, it kind of is self-explanatory. The buildings take a big hit from the weather and the things that happen throughout the season. So, and again, I'm hoping that that money as well, if we need to, we might need some of that money for the roof deck, depending on what the RFQ comes back at. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have one at the south and one at the north, so I guess we'll have to buy a couple more. Yes. And then the kids like to play in them, too. It's like an amusement park. It's like an amusement park.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Susan, is yours on? There we go. Okay, everyone else?
I did, yes. So we could certainly look into purchasing additional foot showers at both locations at the beach.
All right, any other questions about capital? All right, great. Thank you, Michelle. So we have Middlebridge next, which is page 102, page 75 for the public version, and then we'll go to capital after. So 102.
So as you're aware, and Mike DeLuca has been outstanding in all of his meetings with myself and also sharing with the council. The CRMC assent is approved and moving right along. As Mike had said in our SMT meeting today, that will hopefully be going out for RFP or RFQ this summer with hopeful start of the project in the fall. So again, that $60,000 is a requirement that we have to come up with to match that grant. Middlebridge 2, building repairs and renovations. Again, just a small amount in that fund. Matt Eddy, who's the caregiver at Middlebridge, is outstanding to us. He fixes all the docks, builds all the docks, puts the docks in, takes the docks out, fixes, walkways. He's a great asset to the town, and that money in that budget would be specifically used by him for those particular projects. Building renovations and repairs. As you can see from our previous budget, we reduced this budget by $80,000 to $25,000 across the board. After the building envelope of the bait shop was completed. That was the reasoning why we reduced that. We still don't know what we're going to do about those other smaller structures. That, again, would be a decision for the council down the road. But right now, the bait shop building, eventually we'll need to decide what we want to do with that. Do we want to bring a business in there? Do we want to let the kayak center use it? Should it just be used for storage? So I'm sure there'll be conversations about that moving forward. And then, well, that would be Kinney next. We're not on Kinney yet.
All right, so that's it for operating for Middlebridge? All right, so then we have page 102 as well for the capital improvements.
She kind of already went through those. Again, those last lines are capital. So it's in their enterprise operating, but it's also in the regular capital. So she kind of already went through those
Yeah.
with the entrance relocation and the building repairs and renovations.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's,
Okay.
It's not a pretty picture, but
Does anyone have any questions about Middlebridge, either operating or capital?
Correct, sir. And if you get a chance, I'm not sure, maybe Mike DeLuca has already shared with you, there's a beautiful drawing, a schematic of exactly what it's going to look like, where they're going to do the plantings and flower beds, et cetera. So you could. Yes, sir.
All right, anything else? All right, so Kinney Bungalow is page 110, and the public's copy is page 81.
So Kinney Bungalow, and I'll just say a few things, and then I'm going to defer to Christine. So again, the first several line items, again, deal with the unassigned fund balance, full-time wages, part-time wages, health, Social Security contributions, et cetera. Then I usually focus, again, starting at 50208, advertising and promotion. And as you'll see, right underneath that, you've got fire protection. We've recently been reached out or contacted by Encore, our fire protection company, and they're requesting that we replace the fire panel at Kinney Bungalow. So again, you see this figure. So this is a building that's only used for a few months out of the year, and now we have this big nut to try to cover for almost $15,000 for the replacement of the fire panel. So again, it's a concern of ours. I know it's a concern of Chris. And Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you.
this Kinney Bungalow is in a little bit of a situation with fund balance now. The last time the council awarded any funds to be transferred to Kinney Bungalow was in 2017. They transferred $267,000 to it. So right now, in 2022, expecting the fund balance to be about $71,253. And if you look at the top on page 110, they need $71,759 fund balance just to make their 2023 balance, budget balance. So they're actually short $500, and they will then have no fund balance at all, which means they wouldn't have enough to operate in 2024. So it sounds like there's time again to decide whether we allocate more funds, whether it's the $267,000 or more or less, and if we don't transfer any funds, what do we do with it? Because it won't be able to survive.
What is the, sorry, what's the total operating expense this year? Or proposed?
Oh.
Is it
I
above?
need a calculator.
Right. I'm just curious, because you said there would be no fund balance.
Right,
But
because,
so they lose money every year,
yes,
right?
yes,
So no matter what they make this year, it's still going to be
it's
negative.
still going to be. I don't have that in
Yeah.
front of me right now.
We would need to report on that a little bit later, because we do have some events coming in before. True, true. No, it's a loss.
Right.
do it well. Not because we don't do things well, it's because somebody needs to come in and take it over. It's just.
Do you think HVAC is still out of the question?
You know what,
I only worry because, God forbid, we got a Category 5 and took out the towers in the North Beach Clubhouse. Then we wouldn't have an event venue at all.
Is the HVAC in the budget? It's not in the capital,
sir.
right? Okay.
We did try to go over that a couple of years ago and get that in place, but it wasn't supported at that time.
You know, as well, too, I mean, you had COVID for a couple of years as well, so that did not help their situation.
Many cancellations.
So,
they took out that whole house fan, right? They took that out, right? Wasn't there a whole house fan there? And they took it out,
A whole house fan? Please explain.
big fan, they
Oh, a fan.
pull it and blast out, and like, it sucks all the air out.
I don't believe that's there anymore. I'm sorry, I thought you said a
Any
van.
consideration of just, let's just lease it out, if we get like $4 or $5 grand a year, a month. Is there any consideration of leasing that building out? Is that something that, I mean, I've discussed it over the years, and it just falls to the wayside. And we have this conversation again, that it needs more money. I mean, I think we should, I think there's, especially with COVID and the mask, and everybody's looking for something to do. I think there's a couple smart people out there that probably can make something of it better than what we're doing.
I think the land trust would have to be significantly,
Yeah.
if not totally 100% involved in any discussion regarding that.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, it's just that what's the point of having events if we're not if we're not at least breaking even,
Well, my answer to that is, if we did spend $350,000, say, on HVAC, made it a year-round venue, we're already dumping thousands of dollars. We got the elevator repaired. We've got new pillars that need to be repaired. We've got the grounds work that we've done there, the exterior of the building. I mean, we as taxpayers in the town, we've dumped a lot of money into that building to just say, maybe we don't want it anymore.
Right.
I think we should move in a more positive direction and try to save it and bring it to what
exactly.
it can be.
Instead of, we'll bring in a partner to help share, share the expenses there. And, if we're getting $4 or $5 grand a month, I think breaking even was $3 grand a month, wasn't it? Approximately 2,700, if I remember, right? I mean, if we're able to make $1,000 a month, and then we could put that into a fund and keep the maintenance going and let somebody else do the events.
I could see down the road Kinney Bungalow having its own enterprise fund.
You know?
Again, if it were a year-round event venue,
I
clearly.
think if we got the right entity in there and they had a plan, then maybe we could support some kind of, I could support some kind of, year-round, AC unit there, but that's just crazy.
So right now, this fund, or this operation can continue basically for this next year, but a council, either this council or the next council will need to consider a transfer back into that fund balance to get it replenished, right? That's the
Correct.
point? Okay.
yeah, last year it operated at a $34,000 loss.
It's $3,000 a month.
All right, we have one item under capital, page 105.
So again, under Kinney, number one, building renovations and repairs, again, we did make that reduction. We were carrying kind of a high budget, but I did not feel that that was necessary since we don't have a plan moving forward to exactly what we're going to do with the building. So the $25,000 over the 6-year period would satisfy, you know, the need for electrical repairs, hopefully no major elevator repairs, and just the general maintenance of the building itself.
Okay. Okay, any questions? All right, so on to Sunset Farms, page 112 and page 82 in the public copy.
Chris is going to take over again,
All
please.
right, Chris?
Yes, so Sunset Farm doesn't have any revenue. So they, again, they just get a transfer at some point. I can't research when the last transfer was done. But it just covers the insurance, water services, and then if there's any building repairs, there's a small amount of money in that line, but that hasn't been used in several years. So you're pretty much just transferring funds into this Sunset Farms to cover the insurance and the water. There is no revenue. And they're not going to have enough for 2023. So we need to either make a 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, enough to carry a few years.
That has to be done before next year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
I
And
just
it's
did put that
basically
in there, and they use about 3,600 a year,
Okay,
so it's not that bad.
okay. But there's no pressing need to do it this year, it could just happen next year.
2023, we'll need it.
Right.
So we'll have to do it at this budget session.
This year, gotcha, and you have it in here.
I didn't put anything to transfer any funds to Sunset Farms at this point. I'm just saying we have to. There won't be enough in 2023. They're $2,000 short. I have it that they need 4,300, but they don't have 4,300. They're 2,000 short from that.
So for this season, you would, 15,000, would that make it?
Well, I mean, for 2022, we're
Yeah.
okay. It's 2023, we'll need more funds.
Right.
So
Between 10 and
15,000,
15,000.
yeah, 10 to 15 would, so we can think about how to, yeah, deal with this maybe another way.
What's the lease on that?
Oh,
That's a 20-year lease.
is that what it is?
20-year lease that was re-upped just a few years ago.
Right. What's the revenue from that doesn't cover?
There is no revenue
No
from that,
revenue.
sir.
He's
No.
just there.
He's there, and like Chris said, never since I've been working at Parks and Recreation has Jeff Farrell ever approached me for money for anything.
Right.
He takes care of the buildings, he takes care of the grounds around
Yep.
Kinney Bungalow.
That family does a great
an
job.
excellent
No
job.
question about it. Okay. Right, there is no revenue. What do we need a year over there? What would you say, 46,
About 36.
36?
Good?
Yeah, we can get, so a couple of those cows, we can get.
You can handle that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll dress them down, bring them to market.
Okay, any other questions? All right, any general questions for Michelle before she wraps it up? Okay, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you very
I
much.
don't think Jeff's gonna be too happy. What do you mean you're taking one of my cows?
Okay, so we have Steve Dano from Public Works, our Public Works Director, here tonight. Steve, go ahead and kick it off. We are on page 51.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Town Council members. How are you tonight?
Great.
First, we have our operating. I'm going to go through our general public works administration. Pages 51 and 52 is actually gone down by negative 0.7%. So it's pretty much level funded across. If you go to page number 53, this is our recycling budget. You'll see in line 50243, there's an increase of 47%. This is the Msw tipping fee. We take the money in from the haulers, then they dump on our account, and then we pay the bill, and then at the end of the fiscal year, we give them their money back. So basically, it's a wash. What I'm planning on doing is looking at the recycling ordinance and the other internal policies in recycling to remove, this is a service that we provide with we don't gain anything by it. So we're looking at removing this service and to change our overall recycling ordinance to more match South Kingstown's, because Rhode Island Resource Recovery sees Narragansett and South Kingstown actually as one customer. Right. So I feel we need to have our recycling ordinances in both towns be very close to what they are. So I actually talked to John Schock today, and we will be meeting over the next couple of months to work on that. Makes sense. So this should go down next year, so that would be good. But it's a wash anyway, so it's not any taxpayer money.
What is, sorry, I'm not sure, like, what do you mean by making changes to the recycling ordinance exactly? What does that mean?
Well, part of our policy, it's not the ordinance, part of our policy provides for this service. That's not necessary.
Okay.
We could have haulers dump right at Rose Hill instead of hauling all the way up to Johnston.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're looking at.
This is by ordinance, they have to take it up to Johnston?
No, this is by a policy that we let them dump on our account.
Mm-hmm.
We pay the bill and then give them their change back. So the recycling coordinator has to take this money in, keep track of it, pay the bill when it comes in.
So it's extra work and it's
It's
a line
extra
item
work.
that we don't need?
Correct.
Okay.
Looking at changing the ordinance, it's more as far as following for our recycling caps and how we count our recycling requirements to more match South Kingstown's. So that's not a major change in the ordinance.
How are we gonna keep track of the caps?
Rhode Island Resource, through the dumping of Rose Hill that goes up to Johnston,
Right,
is how we'll keep track.
Just dumping it,
We'll divert everybody to Rose Hill.
right, okay.
And so that's how we'll keep track of it. It'll be easier for the town of South Kingstown and town of Narragansett to work together.
Sure.
So it should actually improve our working relationship through the whole thing. So it should be a pretty good change.
That works.
If you go to page 54, is our Public Works facility. That's pretty much level funded as well. Nothing major there, just regular operating expenses. Page number 55 and 56 are public highway division operating. There's no major changes. You'll see a slight increase in the full-time wages. That's for a new maintenance position that we are requesting for town hall cleaning, because right now we're spending over $50,000 a year in overtime on it. So we're looking at reducing some overtime costs, and we're looking at possibly, if approved, filling this after the first quarter. If you go to page number 56, you'll see in line item 50414, electricity for streetlights. That's a major reduction, 53%. That's because the electricity bill is expected to go way down now that we've converted the streetlights to LED. But we still have, this account also covers our maintenance agreement with Siemens and will allow for additional streetlight installations as directed or additional maintenance that comes up with our streetlight program. If you go to page 57, is Public Works vehicle, is our fleet maintenance. Page 57 and pages 58. It's pretty much level funded. The only major increases is based on vehicle maintenance repair, and that's something that we can't really project as things break. We had a major expense this current fiscal year by replacing our Vector debris body. That was $76,000. But the truck's going to last us so much longer. We paid $250,000 for it in 2007. If you were to replace, and that was with a grant too. If you were to replace it now, there was no grant available last time we checked a couple of months ago. And to replace that truck now, it'd be like $440,000. So by 2 years ago, we replaced the pump for $25,000. This year, the debris body, and the guys take really good care of the truck. So we're able to continue to use this 2007 truck. So I'm pretty proud of that. So that's a good thing right there.
Maybe we can showcase it at Kenny Bungalow.
Right. If you go to if you jump ahead to page 125, there's an operating in there that we no longer use. It's the old recycling accounts when we had the state funding. So you'll see that in the book, but that's zeros across the board. So that one doesn't even count for anything.
Because there's no upside on the whole recycling.
No, because it's mandated by the state.
Yeah.
We have to follow the whole thing that we're required to follow with South Kingston, or we can't dump there.
Right.
We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because I did look into that.
Yep. Mandate.
So I'm going to jump to some capital, page 84 and 85. This is,
Actually, I'm sorry, it's page 50 in the,
on yours?
yeah,
I'm not on that one yet, though. I'm on this one.
DPW 1?
I'm not on those capital.
Oh, I'm
ones yet.
sorry. Okay.
I'm just looking at, if you have do you have page 84 on, not in this book, on the operating book, on the operating book? In the operating book. The town manager's budget?
84?
Yes. Oh, we don't go there? Okay, so we'll skip that. I'm okay with that. Beautiful. So let's go to capital. That's even better.
Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up.
Okay. So we
What
shall-
is that? What is that spot?
That
Trying to
is capital projects with no information.
Okay.
This is where the money goes, but this has all the information.
Yeah, on page 84, because there's a lot of information here. Oh,
It's
no
just
explanation.
amounts, there's no
Numbers,
backup with
Big
it.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the backup right here.
So we're at page 50 on the capital.
Capital
packet.
improvement plan.
I was there, I went to that, now I'm back.
We're going all over the place.
We have a cheat sheet right here to help us out.
So I want to pull out the ARPA projects first on the capital. So we're going to look at first number 2, the number 4, the numbers 8 and 9. These are all projects that are earmarked for ARPA. So if these items are not funded through ARPA, then they need to be added to our regular CIP if it's something that you want to happen. Okay, so the first one I'm going to look at is DPW number 2. It's $1.5 million. It's to upgrade and repair the rapidly deteriorating storm drain system within Eastwood Look and Envine Estates. Both of these areas have corrugated metal pipe that is rotted out and needs to be repaired prior to any road improvement projects or road paving projects. If you go to DPW number 4, any questions on that one?
For number 1, or sorry, number 2,
Yeah.
and those have to be done, like, could those be separate projects, or because you're purchasing all the new pipe or
Well, we
something?
used to have a line for Eastwood Look drainage for $75,000 a year. But right now, in that budget line item, it's 0 based on this possible,
Because of
project.
this, right?
yes.
Okay, I'm just, because they're two separate.
Envine Estates is a new discovery that we need the money to replace the drainage in order to continue. Those roads in Envine Estates are actually on Phase 3 of the road bond. So it would be pointless to reconstruct those roads without doing the drainage first.
So if you were going to do one of those neighborhoods, You would budget
wanna
half?
We would, no, actually, Envine Estates would be $1 million.
Okay.
It's just that one side though, right?
Metatuxet.
I know, but what did you say about it? Is that what you said, it's in Metaxas? Is that-
Envine Estates is that upper section of Metatuxet.
He said it would be $1 million if you did
It would
just
be $1
that.
million to do those from Sassafras to Fernleaf.
And
is
then
that
I
the
just
name
heard
of it?
Jesse ask, did you have a preference on if one could be done?
It would be Envine Estates because the roads in Envine Estates are on Phase 3 of the road bond. And the Eastwood Look ones are not on any road bond.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to number 4. DPW number 4 is Town Hall renovations, another opera one, $540,000 for continuing effort upgrades for preservation of Town Hall. The exterior facade of the building needs repair, windows, rear access doors, those are the one-in-ones that are rotting out in the back alleyway here. Front entrance steps are deteriorating, and the stairs to engineering. ADA, we are working on the parking starts tomorrow, but this is more for the elevator issues. The continuation of flooring, manager project funding to be decided by the council. A possible bond is another option. And then the IT rehab has been moved over to our regular facilities capital budget to try to get that going this year. Any questions on that one?
Steve, can I ask something? Is this the project that went up with a recent estimate? Is this the this is not the, thank you.
Okay, and then moving on, DPW number 8 is HVAC for Town Hall. So there's continuing effort to upgrade. This would do the rest of the building, except for IT, because when IT gets remodeled, we're going to be doing the HVAC then. So that's a separate project. So HVAC for Town Hall, at the time, there was $550,000 allocated at the time of the capital budget when it was published, and we were waiting for the updated quote to come in. And so any questions on that?
I just had a question on DPW 5, the pavement management program. Can you talk, I know you talked about the renovations of the town hall, but just interested in that $400,000 for the pavement management program.
Right, I'm going to go back to that. Right now, I'm
okay.
just doing the ARPA ones.
Okay, so
Yep.
that's not on the opera one.
That's not an ARPA one, no. So number 8, and if you have any, do you have any more questions for HVAC for Town Hall?
Steve, could you share with the council the new estimate?
Okay, so hold on to your socks. The new estimate is $1,004,484.62. That does all 3 floors of the building.
And when was that first estimate?
This first estimate was 2018. I think it was 2018 when we first got the quote, or 2017. It was prior to doing the finance wing. So the reason is because of inflation and the whole economy thing. Everywhere, the units themselves have gone up 23%. Just the materials. Everything's gone up significantly. So that's why the price has gone up.
When we were preparing some of the opera requests and some of the large capital projects, we updated many of them that had old estimates, and so
Right,
probably
so
the
we-
biggest shocker.
We went out to get updated quotes. So
Oh, I just have a question before you do the
this
last
quote
one.
does come in three different breakdowns. If you were to do the first 2 floors, it would be, it averaged about 300,000 and change each floor.
But that's from one vendor, or that's,
This is from the company that did HVAC, who's got a state MPA, that did the finance wing.
that's really
So
incredible.
even with, this is something that would probably you'd have to go out to bid for.
Right,
anyway,
yeah,
so.
yeah. Just a quick question before we do the last one for number 4, the renovations. The 340 that you have for ARPA, and then the prior year's funding of 200,
What number are you on?
number 4, town hall renovations. I'm just backtracking, sorry.
Going backwards.
It's just about the funding.
Yes, sir.
Are you saying that the total cost is 540,000?
No, for all of it, according to the chart, 540 would be allocated to begin the project this year. And that would do that would do the stairways, the front entrance steps, the rear access doors, and some of the ADA, I believe.
IT is in there as well.
Well, the IT was moved over here on this one.
Well, that's,
The IT, it says IT rehab moved here, here from IT. All right, so part of that is IT's as well.
Right,
I
I
read
guess
that-
what
I
I'm
read
saying
that
is for this
wrong.
phase of the
I read
project.
that wrong, but
For
yeah,
this
it's a-
phase of the project, it would
this-
be partially done through ARPA funds and partially done through
Yes.
prior year funding, right?
Okay. How much
What-
was that? Do you remember?
How is prior year funding restricted? So if the project was budgeted and you put that 200,000 in and it wasn't used, it goes into that capital reserve, is it restricted to that project until we say it's not?
well, in this instance, IT was funded over a 2-year period. So this
Okay.
is year 2 of that funding. Sometimes they'll spread out a project over several years, so they don't have to pay it all at once.
Right, so that would be 110,000 that we had set aside then.
Right,
to answer
110.
that question,
Right.
Okay, all right, thanks.
that we would need for that IT project. So HVAC, like I said, the quote did come in, they broke it down into 3 different floors, if you wanted to look into that further. DPW number 9 is the last ARPA one. That is for town hall renovations, boardroom repairs. That's been discussion about renovation of the 2 boardrooms to remove a wall between them and replace with a movable wall that will allow for use as a single large room or 2 smaller rooms. This will provide additional space for social distancing, incorporate HVAC improvements, and computer access for presentation and audio-visual access. So that was another the last opera one, and that's at 45,000.
Okay,
Okay?
yep.
So now we shall move to the regular CIP ones. So we'll go back to DPW number 1, garage building renovations and improvements. 140,000 facility upgrades to Westmoreland Street, a portico at the office entrance to aid in social distancing of transactions. That came in about 63,000. Upgrade shop lighting to LED to save on electricity came in at 25,000 estimate. And shop floors refinishing 75,000 to aid in maintaining cleanliness and a better work environment for staff. And then pushed further down, later years, 23, 24, 24, 25 is heating upgrades for the garage bays. Has the original heating and the systems in there now, so they're getting a little aged. They were put in the late 80s. Any questions on DPW 1? DPW number 3, continuation of a previously authorized project to repair the storm drain system townwide. So this is 50,000 towards a revolving project to replace failed drainage systems with corrugated metal pipe to plastic. These are areas other than Eastwood Look or Invine Estates. Locations like the roads behind Spain Restaurant, and roads behind the break, 1st Street, 2nd Street. We just did a section of 3rd Street. No, actually, it was 4th Street. We just did a section of 4th Street over by Bond View. So these areas are popping up. On our maps, unfortunately, on our drainage maps, a lot of these areas that we're discovering the corrugated metal pipe actually say CIP is, it says RCP, reinforced concrete pipe, and that's not the case in a lot of places. So I don't know where those maps
So they
came
went
from.
with
They went the cheap way out with the metal corrugated because they probably figured by the time we figured it out that
is there any way you can push a smaller pipe inside the old pipe?
that's worth looking into. I'm not sure cost effectiveness or size of pipe because a lot of these, the floors of the pipe is what's rotted out. And so it's
You
very,
get hung up on.
it's not a smooth bore where
Yeah.
they blow that stuff through it and then it seals. I don't know how it'll work through this.
I mean,
We'd have to
don't they
look
have a
into it.
composite material that it's a pipe and you can keep pushing it? You screw it, you push it, screw it, you push it.
You would have to dig an area up to be able to get that in.
Yeah.
We'd have to look into that.
Yeah.
But the one that you're talking about where they blow it through,
Yeah.
it's like, almost like a balloon, like they blow it in there and then it bonds to the inside of the pipe and then you have a whole new run.
Right.
But with the corrugated metal pipe, you have an
You got
uneven
shot-
bottom,
you got
so.
shot metal,
So
shot
you have a
wire.
lot of shot metal and stuff, so we were looking at full replacement with plastic. So this is like a mirror to the Eastwood Look storm drainage line item that we normally have the 75,000 for, that we took out and put towards the ARPA funding.
What's the diameter of all this corrugated pipe?
It varies between 12-inch to 24-inch for the most part. Any
The big
12.
stuff's in Eastwood Look, right?
Eastwood Look has stuff 36 and bigger.
Yeah.
And in Bonnet Shores, we found, going down Bonnet Point Road, there's 36-inch corrugated metal pipe where it runs down the left side of the road by Ottawa and comes out by a lake. We just discovered that the other day, so, when it should have been concrete. But that's DPW number 3. DPW number 5 is for road repairs other than the ones being covered by the road bond, 400,000 generally. Generally, it's 350, so we're asking for a little bit more. This is our regular projects that we have, like George Sherman do, or I put some of the pavement management. It's the chip sealing, the crack filling, things like that. That all comes under this line. These are other projects. DPW number 6 is to replace our 89 Komatsu forklift. Has many hours on it and it does need some work, quite a bit of work.
What year is it?
It's a 1989 Komatsu. The price for that came in about $35,000. And then to purchase a road planer for use with our Bobcat track machine. This is for small hot asphalt repair jobs. You see the big planer that Myozy uses on the whole road? Well, this one's about 2 feet wide. It's good for anchoring different small sections in. So we're looking at purchasing that. If it's approved, that's about $25,000. DPW number 7 is a good favorite. It's to replace trucks. So we're looking at requesting $185,000 to replace a 2000 Chevy 3500 utility body with 172,260 miles. It has frame and body rot on it right now. It's a plow truck. And then also to replace a newer than that, a 2009 5500 Chevrolet. It's a hook lift. It's the one that carries the dumpsters, and it has a sander on it as well. It has rust and mechanical issues. The four-wheel drive hasn't worked in quite a while. In this new sander for it with the pre-wet brine system. That's got about 66,000 hard miles. It's got hard miles on it from the salt. It's another primary plow truck as well. And then that's it for the DPW.
Okay, any questions about the operating or capital projects budget? Nope.
Okay,
All right,
so
road bond,
road bond is
page 87.
If I may suggest that we can, you can look at page 87,
Okay.
but that's
It's kind
not-
of,
it's
the
not
numbers
up
aren't
to
really
date.
there. That's where my notes are.
Right, yeah, because we just got the new 3 million
Right.
with the new bond, and that was after this budget went out. So it's not really up to date where it should be. But we just want to go to page 106 in the CIP,
Sure.
I think.
I don't have that one.
That'll be updated for the public hearing.
Well, once y'all suggest to the town manager what to do with this budget.
Right.
At that point, I'll be updating it, all of it.
Okay.
All right, so I'll read my notes on that one. We recently added 3 million to the road bond account, 0022 50202, contracted services. After that, we will have the final 2.6 million. And between the 3 million and the 2.6, it's not enough to finish phase 3. So I would also like to ask for you to put on the next ballot a voter referendum to continue our road reconstruction projects. So I'll give you a quick update on where we are with our roads. Right now, we have POs and road construction happening on Brooklyn Road, Raymond Drive, Bayberry, Lake Road, 2 sections, Lake Road by Brooklyn and Lake Road at Wolf, Cedar Street and Walnut Street here in the center of town, Central Street right here, the dead end, and the sidewalk project. They'll be starting that shortly. Schooner Cove, as you see Schooner Cove at Point Judith Road, there's that little island right there. We're making that ADA compliant. As part of the plan, when they built that plat, they required that island to try to keep traffic only turning right coming out of the plat and only turning right to come in. They didn't want people to take the left. So we are making that for short money. We're making that a ADA compliant so that wheelchairs and whatnot could cross over there. So that's a little quick job. We also have POs out for Ottawa Trail they're working on, Sachem Road, Osceola Avenue, Old Boston Neck Road just after Sprague Bridge, going from where the bridge is up to the entrance to the private road for Camp Barnum. That's getting redone right now. We started that. We did the tree removal. And then right now, in design, I have a list of roads here that are currently designed. We're waiting on permitting from CRMC. Wampum Road and Saybrook Avenue, Algonquin Road. I'm going to have to hold that one, even if it comes through now, until next spring 2023, because there's talk of sewer connections going on right now. Hopefully, they'll get them in by the fall, the latest, because these areas need to settle for the winter before we go reconstruct.
It's on the north end of Saybrook?
That's the section behind, by Bonnet View, behind the bank area, over there, by Connecticut, off of Connecticut. And then we're also looking at Jennifer Court and Leanne Drive getting reconstructed, South Trail and Wood Avenue. These are all hot-ticket roads that have been in the works for a while with requests. The hold initially for Wood Avenue and South Trail was another possible sewer project back in Phase 1. So that had gotten put to Phase 3. So these roads are designed. We're waiting on CRMC permitting. And they're being real sticklers for having what they call BMPs, best management practices for water treatment.
Steve, what's a typical wait for CRMC for the permit? Because that seems to be a holdup for the town over and over again.
That is a holdup, and we currently.
These is,
Right,
delays.
it's as fast as they want to move. We also have other issues that we're dealing with surveys to get to beta so that they could actually design the roads. They're waiting on surveys to come in. The next section of roads that they're going to be working on, just so that you guys know, we call it Phase 3B-2, would be Memorial Square, Rockland Street, Sunset Boulevard, and Wheatfield Cove Road. That's the next group of roads. Then there's another group of roads, Phase 3B-3, Elm Avenue, Island Road, Marine Drive, Mollis Drive, Old Point Judith Road, have yet to be designed or permitted. And then we had moved all of the Envine Estates roads to the back because of the drainage issue. Fernleaf Trail, Thornapple Road, Linden Road, Old Pine Road, South River Trail, and Tupelo. Old Pine would be the last one, only because we don't want to reconstruct all these side roads. We want to reconstruct them first and then do the main road coming in, because we don't want trucks going over the Old Pine if we did it first. So it only makes sense to wait on that. So there is options to do some remedial patchwork on Old Pine, because I know that's a hot ticket item.
Yeah, that's a big one. So when you say, what's the time frame?
These are,
some of those Metuxet
these we're going to
roads
run
were-
out of money for.
Yeah, some of these Metuxet roads have been in the hopper for a while, so
Right.
People have
so-
been
so-
really patient.
So these roads, with the current, the $17.5 million bond, we're not even going to get to it. We're going to run out of money before we get there. That's why I'm asking for you to go back out to a voter referendum. Do we want to continue with road reconstruction or find other ways, put it in the capital every year, more money to get these roads done? There's another
Is
option.
Envine, are they also corrugated?
Yes, sir. And Vine
How
and
big are they? What's the diameter?
a majority of those, I just sent the crew out 2 weeks ago to do a full survey. 3,800 feet of it is 12-inch pipe. And then the next size up is 15 and then 18. Those are 2,000 to 3,000. And then the minimal one was probably 1,200 feet, was 24-inch. But those structures all need to be replaced too, because they're all concrete. They're concrete corrodes with
It's all
salt, so they're
storm.
just old. That's an old,
This is all stormwater.
this is all stormwater stuff. So this is an old, this plat has been there for a
Yeah,
while, so it's time to do the work. The infrastructure needs to be replaced. And it doesn't make sense to do the roads until you do
Now,
this infrastructure.
say you do all the storm, we still have to do swales on top?
Yes, because
'Cause they're required.
CRMC,
This is all a
DEM,
new requirement, right?
this has been going on for the last 10 years, but they're really enforcing it now with especially the town of Narragansett. We're a wetland to begin with.
Could you get away with putting a pipe inside a pipe, a smaller pipe, and do the swale on top?
If, you still need to do,
If you had a 12-inch pipe.
some of the,
10-inch pipe,
well, that's for an engineer to decide, because if you slide
Yeah.
a smaller pipe
yeah,
into a bigger
cut down the
pipe,
volume, yeah.
right, it comes down to volume and what the rating is for. Generally, roads are designed for the 25-year average.
Yep.
And we've been, the last 10 years, have been getting these 100-year storms that they're not designed for.
But
So
when they
we,
designed the road at 12-inch, they didn't have.
All right, I'm going to cut it off. It's 7:36.
They didn't have a
Okay.
swale on top.
I don't think we're going to figure this one out.
10-4, so that's the road update for you.
But I do have a question that I think is relevant. You talked about the road bond.
Yes, sir.
So for anyone here, I don't know this answer because I haven't gone through this, but can we just put that on a ballot as a referendum question? Does it go through the General Assembly? How exactly does that work?
We do a special election.
No, we want
No,
to do
we
it
can
in
put it on the
November, right?
ballot, right, for November.
So that's not anything
think-
that has to go get signatures like voter initiatives. This is just something the town can
No.
have put on.
Oh, okay.
So
might
what
use the
amount
wrong
of,
word.
what's the amount that we'd be looking for?
Just to finish this?
Well,
I
for,
think we would have to, if that's something we want to do, we could do some more, get some more rough numbers together through our engineering company, Beta, and get
Yeah.
it more accurate, just to what we think might finish the bond. But I know there's going to be more roads out there. We haven't even discussed South Pier Road and any of those things, which are.
all right,
other
so let
issues.
us know, and we can put it on the agenda, and then we
Do
can
you want me to
vote.
do that research?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, I will get on that.
Thank you.
I want to also add to that, Dave Ferrara, our bond counsel, also said we could do a road bond and infrastructure, town infrastructure. So if there was any other projects that you've seen that were presented out of the 16 million, we could have a more generic type of bond. And also that the stormwater, the storm drains can be covered through the bond. So you might want to just add that in, because in the bond referendum, it does say storm drains. So we can come up with a price and, I don't know, see what we can.
This is your chance, Steve, to get it all done. Anything you want, put it in the bond. All right. All right, cool. So that's road bond. So we're not going through the operating for that because it's not correct anyway, right? Okay. All right. Anything else, Steve?
That's all I have, thank you. Unless you have any questions.
Everyone good? All right, great.
That's enough good news for one day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, so we are over to finance.
Okay, do you want, Dan, are you going to change the screens? Or? Oh, okay.
All right, so this is page 20 for operating.
Yes, I have no capital, so,
Right, yep, okay. And it's page 15 in the public version.
correct. So just briefly, Finances, finance and purchasing, accounting, tax collection, and tax assessing. There's 12 staff members. And next screen. There was a slight increase from the 2022 budget. It's up, all 4 departments are up 1.2%. Most of that is, why it's only 1.2% is because there was a lot of staff turnover. And we have a lot of younger staff on now in both tax collection and the tax assessor's office. Also, the allocation for the revaluations, that is an increase because it used to be under capital, but the state doesn't want it there anymore. So what they say goes. So it's under just regular operating, and so I reserve $50,000 a year, kind of like the beach replenishment there. So when it comes time for a reval, it's not everything out of our pocket at once. And also includes the funding for the 2 of the financial modeling products from GovInvest, which would be labor costing and financial forecasting. We can go to the next screen. Just some goals and priorities, just to continue to improve and modernize department functions, reducing the reliance on paper. We're upgrading our financial system, implementing the new tax admin system, which is supposed to go into effect right after we do tax collection, which is scheduled for April 26th, hopefully, and continue to provide quality time and timely service to the town council departments and general public. You can read the rest, but some accomplishments. We closed the 2021 budget in a surplus position with 0 use of fund balance. We assisted in the submissions for COVID-related grants, submitting reimbursements of $946,742. We haven't received all that back, but we've submitted that, and there's a little bit more coming forward. We have until July 1st to submit some more COVID-related expenditures. We collected 100% of the taxes in the town. We had no findings or material weaknesses in the 2021 budget. We maintained a AA+ Standards & Poor bond rating with an increase with financial management from strong to very strong. We created and implemented, with help from the Finance Committee, a general fund and operating capital investment policy. And we've implemented 3 of the 4 financial GovInvest modules so far. We have pension, which is still ongoing. And we've implemented executive time and attendance for several departments, along with IT. Any questions?
Any questions for Chris? So we have a $41,000 increase overall, but $20,000 of that is software, right?
I don't know the overall increase.
Oh, I
I
was
just did a percentage.
yeah, 9.8. I was just saying,
yeah.
10% seems kind of high, but when you look at it,
It's
it's not really, because your budget's not that big.
it's not that
Right.
big, yeah,
And half of that increase is the software.
the
upgrade.
software.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, any questions for Chris on finance? All right, general revenue is page 1.
Okay, so it's, as you can see, the majority of our revenue comes from tax and payments in lieu of taxes. The second biggest revenue source is state aid at 3.4%. Then we have fines, fees, and interest at 3.2%. And this year, in the 2023 budget, we're looking at fund balance of 2.3% of our total revenue of the $67 million. There's really not a lot to say about revenue because the majority of it is on, like I said, on property taxes and payments in lieu of taxes, pilots. General clerk revenue took a big increase a couple of years ago, so we've increased that a bit. I don't know if you have any specific questions to any types of revenue or anything like that.
I don't have any questions. I know someone, I think Stanley actually had mentioned the revenues, something about municipal court and
Yes.
the expenses of that. I just wanted to mention, Stanley, that the projected revenue for municipal court is 400,000. So you know, so you have that info.
Yeah, I think the budget was 200 and something thousand. and
Yeah,
change.
so-
Yes, yes.
Great. All right.
Okay. Still, also, the state revenue is still estimated. We don't have actual numbers yet.
Estimated. Okay. All right. Were there any questions about general revenue?
No question.
All right. General transfers and miscellaneous is page 67. And for people at home, it's page 45. Or the person at home, right? One person
One
watching?
person. As you can see, the school gets 72% of the transfers. They're our biggest transfer. And then debt service is up to 9%. We have capital at 6% of the transfers. And then our OPEB is up at 9%, and then library comes in at 3%. So that makes up all of our transfers, which is a total of $38,293,707. We have some other townwide transfers that goes on to general transfers and miscellaneous continued, I believe. And that is just a 5% increase, and basically that's general insurance, workers' compensation, unemployment, our Superfund site there, Rose Hill, that's up 5%. Our contingency stayed the same at $300,000. That's for anything that wasn't budgeted that may be an emergency. And that would be that part of it for now. Do you have any questions yet, or do you want me to just keep going?
You guys have any questions? Sorry. Any questions about the general transfers?
The OPEB transfer,
Yes.
what was the percentage last year?
If you want to, it was $2,637,225. I do have a slide on that if you want to. Can you move a little forward, Dan? Just go a little bit more. Go ahead. There, that's the funding percentage, if you want to do that. So as you can see, Chapter 1666, that's the closed police pension.
Right.
That took a nice jump up to 90% funded. That's wonderful. So our transfer went down almost 150,000,
Like
160,000.
$100,000 left on that one, eh?
Yeah, there's 12 people that remain in the plan, and we had a great return last year. Next slide, please. These are the actuarial determined contributions compared to the 2020 valuation. No, they took a nice increase, and that is because we changed our assumptions. I do have a paper somewhere, but I can't find it quick enough. So we changed some assumptions this year after they did the experience study. So we decreased our rate of return from 7.2 to 7.15, which will eventually go to 7.0 over a 4-year period. We updated the mortality tables because police and fire are living longer. So that increased our liability. We also modified our growth in payroll over the next few years. We brought it from 4% growth increase to a 3.5. That was more in line with what was really happening. So with those changes, it really changed, increased our contributions and increased the liability. And the library have 2 new people, so that's why they took such a big jump.
But you think with the new inflation that's upon us, that's gonna...
In the
Eat up on
market,
that
in the market.
2.5.
I wish we did it in December instead of June. June is such a bad month with the market. We always get hit pretty hard with that, but we'd have to do it June 30th, so. Next slide, please. And this is the, for the OPEB, right? So it went up 26.6% with the changes in the assumptions as well.
Right, yep.
But we weren't being realistic with the assumptions we had.
So I guess the percentage of payroll has to go up
Yes.
by 26%?
Well, it's different for different departments.
Yeah.
I almost had that for you. on a slide, but I didn't. Just give me one moment. So, yeah, I don't have what it was, well, maybe I do, I don't know. Yeah, well, those are the,
Yeah.
that's it mostly.
Right.
I mean, as you can see, yeah. I think they're about 6% for the town, about the same for police, a little more for fire, and then the library took a 12%. Because they, yeah, they have the two people added in.
Okay, so we skipped ahead to pension and OPEB from general. We still need debt service?
Right, we can go back maybe a little bit, Jan? They're right there, whoops. This is just the table of all the debt service we have currently. Down the bottom has enterprise fund, that's a wastewater that we keep separate out of the general fund. You can see our total amount outstanding is $29,953,224 at the end of 2022. And then with the new bonds, you can see the $3 million road bond, 3.4 library bond. Those added in bring us to a $28,014,302. If you could go to the next page, Dan. Those are our percentages that we have to follow by law. So we're still, our max is 7%, we're at 5.56. As far as general fund to operating, outstanding principal to assessed valuations is just 0.5% out of 2.5. And the debt service to maximum levy, with the max is 8, we're at 5.9. And the outstanding governmental debt per capita, with the max is $2,500, we're at $1,903 and change. And that obviously increased the transfer to debt service too. That went up. Any other questions? I do
Okay,
have
so
a
that's
piece.
everything, right?
Yeah, I do have a piece of news, just so you know, the health insurance rates came in today. So what's budgeted is, right now is a 3% healthcare increase. They told us it's a 0.4% increase to healthcare, which is less than 1%. And dental is a decrease of 11.8%. So that will help with the budget, again, once everybody figures out what's going to be final, close to final. Those
Right.
numbers will be reflected in the change.
Okay. All right, great, Chris. So if we do this kind of how we did it last year, we kind of just will have a little discussion through the council, talk about any projects that we might want to hold off on. Right now, this proposal includes a maximum increase in tax levy, 4%.
That's
right?
correct.
That's the most that the town is able to increase their levy, and we would be doing that based on this proposal if we don't change anything. So are there any items that we've talked about the last 3 nights that anyone wants to bring up just for discussion, so we can give a little direction to Chris and Jim for the upcoming public hearing, so that we have a newer proposed budget that we could work on? This is the time to basically give the direction, so that we have the updated version during our meeting.
Yeah, if you want, I can just say a little bit about the levy. Right here,
Sure.
right now, it's a 4% max with the 3.71% increase to the tax rate. With the fund balance, again, don't forget you have a big fund balance at 23.8%. You could do a 0% rate increase and still keep the 4% levy, but obviously in 2025, the rates would go up much higher because you would be making up for 2 years' worth. But you do have enough fund balance for that?
You're saying to Not keep the 4, there would be no levy.
Keep the 4%, but put no increase to the tax rate. So it would
Right,
all
cover
be
that
fund
4%.
balance.
Right.
You could go to 3%. But of course, I recommend the 4%, but that's up to you. Yes, I think, and that would be it as far as the tax rate goes. The 1.5 million is already in there for the library. That's already considered out of the 23.8. That brings it down. Oh boy, I don't have my paper. Or there's too many papers. Hold on. Tax rate. Anyways, we have, good, how come I can't find it?
So the 1.5 to the library is in the budget as an expense.
Yes, here it is. So, right now, we have 14,685,422,000 at 23.8%. The way the budget is right now, we're using the 1.4 million in the fund balance that you'll see as far as revenue on page 1. You'll see we're using that for fund balance. There's also another 400,000 that we may need because of the motor vehicle freeze or hold harmless rule that you can't increase anybody's bill over the previous year. And the NADA really increased, I think, about 20% in the valuations of vehicles. But while they're assessed higher, we can't bill higher. So we had to take that into consideration. So we need another 400,000 for that. That's 1.8. Also, the non-spendable 1.5 million for the library brings down the fund balance to 11,304,77, which is still at 17.83%.
And that should be reimbursed over the next year.
Yeah, it's just non-spendable.
Right.
It doesn't mean we lost it. It's just non-spendable.
Right.
Right. So then, if you did the increase 4% and you used another 2 million in fund balance plus the 1.5, it brings the fund balance down to 14.6%. So it's about $650,000 or $60,000 per percent. So you still have another about $1 million to bring it down to 13% if you wanted.
What's the ideal fund balance for?
10 to 16.
10 to 16, and we've been having like 11, right? Have we
Yes.
had 11?
Mhm.
And how much would 11 be in millions?
Well, 13 would be about another $1 million. So 2 more million?
Yeah, we brought the
2
fund
more million?
balance down to,
2.5 million more?
so it'd be what, that'd be 9.5? 9 point,
We're already at
Already
9.2. So if you did another million, it would be what, 8? Say it would be 8 million,
8.
about.
And that'd give us a 11% fund balance.
8 or, yeah, no, that would give us 13. So give yourself another million. That would bring it down to 12.
Okay, well,
11 and a half, 12. Another percent, another million off the 9.2 would bring you down to 13. Okay, so if you want to get down to 11, it's about 650,000
per point.
percentage point. So another 1.2-ish would bring you down. So 3.2-ish million on top of what's already kind of allocated.
Out of all the
It's a lot.
opera requests, which is the biggest financial liability moving forward? Would that be the OPEB?
Well, that is liability, obviously.
Right,
It's only
yes.
29%
Yeah,
funded,
I know,
yes.
but I mean, if we don't pay that down today in today's dollars, is that,
You could, if you made, I think when I presented it to you, if we made, what was it for 400,000? That was 4 million. If we did all of ARPA, that was what we had talked about, it would decrease it about 400,000 a year
right,
in funding. So $1 million is about 100,000. That's how it was working out in that program. But you could do that. there's a lot to consider. I don't know if you want me to do a summary or something, or,
It would also keep us in a strong bond rating category, because we're paying down debt. We're not going to capital, we're just paying down debt.
that was one of the reasons why we didn't get a higher bond rating,
Right,
because our pension and OPEB liability.
right. And if we have a better bond, then we can borrow at a better rate.
We would need a higher fund balance, just so you know, too. They did say that. You would-
Really, more than 11%?
Yes.
What are they talking about, 16?
They would consider it, but yeah, it would be up onto to 20%. A lot of places have a 40% fund balance that get a triple bond, triple A.
Not in Rhode Island.
Not in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
They said there's not many people in Rhode Island, in the East Coast, that have
Right,
a triple A, that are small, because we're small.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
So we do have a summary that you provided that has all the ARPA projects, right? That's the presentation,
Correct.
right? So the ARPA projects, I know we talked about a lot of them during this. However, none of those projects that say potential ARPA are in the budget. So,
Nope.
right. So I just want to be clear about that. Like, we could decide on those after the budget process as well. It's a big decision when you're going to designate that amount of money. I don't know if you want to feel forced to do it right now just because we're talking about the budget, right?
I just wanted it included in the budget, so you would know all the
Yeah, no, I get it, I
opportunities
get it,
that
I
you-
get it.
you know what I
do,
mean?
I'm
How
just
much
saying
is
that, like,
out there. Yeah, we don't have to, but we do have to,
but we do have to do a budget.
right, and we do have to have it allocated, obligated by December 31st, 2024.
Right. I just want to wrap up a couple things, and everyone else is going to have a chance as well. In the proposed budget, 2.576, so 2,576,000 is already appropriated from the fund balance to cover the full budget. Is that right? That would come out of the fund balance?
Where are you on?
I'm just at the
page?
beginning of the packet, like the second
Oh,
page.
I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. So where you have like the main, it's the second page in the packet.
Yeah,
At the bottom, right above total revenues, fund balance appropriation.
okay.
So is this saying that to cover the $67 million budget, 2.5, oh no, that's under revenues.
That's right.
Okay, so right now, there is no transfer from the general fund, from the unassigned fund balance.
Yes,
That's
if you
not
go to
included.
page 1. Go to page 1, the
Yep.
first line right there, it's 1.4 million. That's the fund balance that's needed to balance this budget.
It
right
is,
now.
okay, so 1.4 would already be coming out of our unassigned fund balance,
Exactly.
right? And then any more that we wanted to transfer would bring down the levy. Would bring down the increase, the tax increase to the taxpayer, if we wanted to transfer any more money from the general fund.
If we wanted to reduce the current tax levy, then we would need more fund balance, correct?
But
to
we're
cover
already
the
doing
balance.
1.4 million
Correct.
already. So that's in the budget. That's not, you know, okay, everyone understands that. It's already coming out of our unassigned fund balance, but we can do more. But if we don't want to depend fully on transferring from the unassigned fund balance, we can cut things out of the budget. So right now, we have a proposed budget that we haven't cut anything. This is just everyone asking for whatever they want.
Well, the town manager did cut 2
The
million.
town manager did, but the
Right,
council hasn't
But the
yet.
council has not.
So are there any items that the council would like to bring up as something to reconsider? I'm going to start. I'll be the one who starts. I'm just going to bring up the ones that I thought were not as important for this year, so we could try to keep taxes low. I want to get as close to a 0% increase as possible, is my opinion. So these are the ones that I outlined, and I hope the people in the room don't get upset with me right now, but I'm going to bring a few up. So there were a lot of IT capital projects. I do have one that I don't think is necessarily important for this year. That's the town hall audio video project. In here, right, in the assembly room. That's 50,000. But that's the only one I'm going to bring up. We have, sorry, but we do have the library windows under capital projects. which is part of the new project, the new library. So I'm just not sure if that belongs, I'm not sure how we think about that. If we think of that as like a separate capital project, or if that gets rolled into the project itself. I'm just bringing it up to see what everyone else thinks. That's $100,000. The Historical Society is asking for $100,000 for the windmill building. You know, the town did lease that property for $1, with the understanding that everything would be fundraised for that. And I know there's been, you know, obviously some complications with the passing of Shirley. But again, that's $100,000 for a non-town entity. It's not a town department. Chamber of Commerce is looking for a $20,000 increase in their allocation. They get 25. They're looking for 45. I know they have, you know, had to go through COVID and all that, but I'm just going to bring it up. The Land Trust is looking for their $50,000 back that they waived during COVID for their transfer. So that they would get their $50,000 for this year, but also looking for the $50,000 from the previous year. So, I mean, I'm the liaison for that committee, but I'm bringing that up because I kind of thought it was just waived. But they're asking for that, so we could decide if we want to transfer that back. And then the school budget is looking for about $600,000 above last year. But they do have that pretty large unassigned fund balance as well. So we could talk about whether some of that should come out of that. So all these things, when you add them up, you know, it makes a big difference. I think if we took all those things out, we'd be close to like $1 million coming back. But I just wanted to bring them up and see what everyone thinks to see if there's any consensus here to give direction. So those are the ones. Did anyone else want to bring up anything or talk on those?
I mean, I want to do a 0% increase. Yeah. Oh, so I'm not specific on the projects at this moment. I mean, I want to support the improvements of the water quality in the town of Narragansett and the capital. I want to, you know, support the roads. I mean, there are definitely specific things I want to support in this budget, but I can't go through item by item. I mean, maybe next time when we have a public meeting, we can have our lists and here are things we want to support in the budget. I don't know if it would be too late, but I think that would be helpful too, because there are definitely things in here that I can support and things that I can't, but I don't have my list in front of me.
So, well, let's hear from everyone else. And then we'll see what's the best way.
But the zero increase is something I want to stand by, and I want to publicly say that.
And I'd like to publicly say, I understand, but the town is growing more than you keep increasing the budget, so we're going to be running out of money if we don't start increasing and taking a max increase on the levy. It hasn't been increased at 4% since 2018. I'm just putting it out there that, you know, salaries and expenses and health and normally health would grow higher than a 4% or 3%, and we haven't gone that high
Right.
since 2018.
But, you know, we always have to consider some projects might never happen. So some projects are going to get asked, and we just don't think they need to be done.
I understand.
And then also when you have an unassigned fund balance in certain departments, at some point you're going to use it. So I know what you're saying. If you try to, you're artificially decreasing the budget because next year it's going to need the 4% that you asked for, and then 4% again.
Yeah, because we
I get
get
that.
$2 million a year, and without going to 4%, it stays at that $2 million. Or if you go 4%, it's going to be $2.1 million, and on. But it only gives us $2 million extra a year, a 4%
Right.
increase.
But also, couldn't you say, like, you know, I mean, you know better than me through the years, but capital projects get done, and there's going to be new ones that pop up. But also sometimes, you know, there's a year that might have a lot of capital projects that aren't necessarily going to be duplicated in terms of expense the next year. Operating, I totally understand. Like, that's not going to go down. But we have some big capital projects over the years that you get them done, and they're done. So, I don't know.
I'm just putting it out there.
I know, I did. So Patrick and Eva, what do you guys think? We can't just say that we want to decrease it. We have to say what, you know, it's our job to specify what we want to come out if we do want to take things out.
So are you saying that we need to determine which?
If we want a budget prepared, we're
Yeah,
going to
right.
have to at some point
Okay,
tell
so
them.
so the projects we're prioritizing the ARPA projects right now? Is that what you're saying? Like we
I mean,
need
you
to
can
be-
definitely speak with some ARPA
Yeah,
stuff,
so
but those
my-
aren't in, but they're not in the budget.
Right. So correct. So just prioritizing those and obviously the water and I know that Jim had given his suggestions on where he would like to see the ARPA funding spent, and I actually reviewed that and I was in agreement with that. So I would like to see some of the focus on those projects. I don't want to see taxes go up either, but I think we need to be realistic and kind of consider that as well, and just kind of figure that out.
All right, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we don't need to do anything with the video in here. We're good with that. COVID's over. We don't need to go Hollywood here, so that saved 50,000 there. The library and the windows, I think we should just, they've been raising money. We did the 5.8, and we loaned them. We got a bridge loan for them. I think they're gonna be fine, because once things start happening over there, people, I'm sure, would like to donate more, especially with the inflation woes upon us. Say level fund the chamber, level fund the school, and have a 2% levy. That's a good compromise. And then I think we need to, keep the fund balance at between 11 and 16, where Christine seems to think where we can keep our bond rating, and what's left over, we need to try, I think we should use that ARPA money, either split it between the water and sewer and the OPEB, and we need to pay down that OPEB, because that's gonna be a problem, because these are all new numbers from, that 400,000 is even higher. Because these numbers are higher for OPEB. The percentage of payroll, as you can see, is going up. So even with that full 4.5 million to pay it down, initial pay down, those numbers are even up. So we're not even going to have that 400,000 savings. It's going to be actually less if we went with the, right? Is that correct? It'd be like 350, something like that. So yeah, I mean, this OPEB is going to be out of control in the next few years, and I think that's our biggest liability that's going to put us in a financial, position that's, then we'll, God forbid, have to go to the General Assembly and ask for more than a 4% levy. Well, you can. But I
You
hate
can
to
if you go with debt service.
Yeah,
A year that if you increase your debt service, you can ask for more than 4.
right. And I hate to see that, so I think we need to pay down some debt now with that ARPA money, I think. That's our debt, uncle. We need to pay down our debt moving forward. I mean, these projects, they'll get done. I know some are on hold because, we got the cart before the horse before the cart. And it's a tough call, and, you got 40 years of storm drains that are metal. Figure that one out, so. But there are other solutions, and with the swales and everything, I think there might be an opportunity there to kind of look at different engineering, maybe, I don't know. It's out there though, right, Mike? Right, Steve? Yeah. It's out there,
We could look into
yeah.
it.
'Cause, the pusher pipe is not, especially those larger 36-inch pipes, So, that's where I stand. I can see us at a 2% levy. Things go up. That's just the way it is. It's still, what's that, 2%? I don't have the math on that one, but that's where I stand.
So 2% would be like 1.2 million or something like that, right? 1.3. Okay, so again, I'm just going to reiterate, nothing will change in the budget unless we specify
Right.
that, which we've kind of done.
Yep.
Do we generally agree that we'd like to see an updated budget for the public hearing that is a 2% increase, right?
Yep.
2%. And the way that we're going to do that is by basically keeping the numbers in terms of appropriations where they've been. Outside appropriations, so like the Historic Society, Chamber of Commerce, those would stay the same for what we've given in the past. Is that what everyone agrees?
Yeah,
or-
I'd say level fund. As far as the Historic Society, I don't know, what have we been,
Well, I think that's a new
that's a new-
request,
that was a
right?
new
Because we,
request of 100,000, right?
yeah,
You know,
but again, they're getting the building for free.
yeah, well, yeah, plus if they contact my guy with that asbestos thing, they're gonna get half the price.
I believe they normally have a $6,000.
Okay,
$6,000 appropriate, all right, I mean, I'm willing to level fund them too, but, you know, I mean,
I mean,
It's
yeah,
a historical society, they got time on their hands, you know, they got time to rectify stuff. Yeah.
and then what about the school budget? So you had mentioned,
I think we should level fund, they got $5 million in their,
is that right?
Well, they have a $5 million fund balance, but some of that is in their operating, that they use it on a 2-year cycle, so 2% goes, 3% goes to capital, and then 2%, or vice versa, goes into the operating, so they do use it towards the next year's budget, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're
They
asking
have
for-
a total 5 million,
but
but
they're asking for 6, right? Weren't they asking for 6?
6 what?
600,000?
550 or something like that above?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, I think we gave them, what, 384 last year? So it's a
It was
difference
something
of,
like that. It was like 1.38%, 1.4% last year.
yeah,
This budget is in at 2%. They were asking for 2.15.
right. I think the numbers are like, we're 150 apart. If we level fund them, they'd have to make up 150,000, somewhere 150, oh, no, 200,000. So I don't think that's too much of a stretch. They got.
I guess.
fund
So
balance.
Chris, do you have like, sorry, we're kind of bouncing back and forth. Do you have some things to kind of whittle down for the public hearing, or do you want to just have us bring this back up in the public hearing? Be specific then. and
I
then
think we're good. You want me to level fund the school with no increase? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I don't know if I'm settled on that myself.
I'm not sure I'm
What
settled
what was
on that.
last?
Want me
year?
to, last year was 1.38.
I know, I mean in numbers. In
Oh,
numbers. It was like 384.
oh, the increase?
Chris, would it
Yeah, I don't
be-
know.
Would it be too late if we, at the public hearing, came with more specific stuff? Do you have enough to work with now? And then we could come with, the special appropriations. Do we think the school budget should be, level
If I
fund?
take this out now, I'll just go forward with this and
then
we
we'll have more
can,
specifically each person.
I can do the benefits, I could do,
Right,
there's some
right.
other things that
think
came
that-
up.
That
There's-
would give everybody
there's-
the opportunity on the council to go through in their own heads.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Deb's not here, but just to say, we support these for special appropriations, we support the school budget or not, what are the capital projects we support in this budget, and just kind of do that at the public hearing, which will be a good conversation.
Okay, if I could just go over this list then, just as a starting point, and we could always put it back in or do whatever. So the town hall audio video out for now. The library windows out. Society, chamber, land trust level funded. School, do you want me to do a 1.5?
Question.
Yeah, that's a question mark. Do you want me to just
Can we
do a
see,
1.5?
maybe we want to just see the updated budget without changing the school, and then we'll
Because we
know.
don't seem that settled on it quite yet.
And because you're going to take out the health expenses. and
I'll
that's
leave it
gonna
at
make a
2% then
difference.
for now.
I understand what Patrick's saying. I just want to kind of see where we're at on it,
Okay, and then 2% levy
is the goal.
is the goal.
Yep. I'll move from 0 to 2.
Thank you. All right, I can move with that, and I'll make all the other modifications, because we did find a few things during the work session where I was over budgeted or whatever,
Right.
so, yeah,
Okay.
okay?
And so it would be helpful if we came back with
Yes.
specific, what we like in the capital, what we like for the special appropriations, anything that you didn't list in front of you, that can help us whittle it down a bit.
Yeah,
Would it be helpful, Jesse, if Christine prepared for the council the different amounts of fund balance that would be applied to show would be at 10%, 11%, 12%, how it would affect.
I think that would, with a, up to a decent amount of work. I don't want you to spend your time with all these different scenarios. But what you could do would be great.
That's really helpful, I think.
Okay.
Because then you can see where the numbers come in.
I could bring it
It's
on
like a
my
cheat sheet
laptop
to
and
Yeah, it's helpful.
whatever. Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right, great. So we are past 8. Anything else from any council members? Okay, great, thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to adjourn. Sorry. Stanley, did you want to speak?
Stanley,
I see you're all prepped. All right,
here we go, another FOIA request.
all right, Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Sandwich House, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I like the idea of not buying the sand, I think there's a lot of sand down Narrow River. Maybe we can haul some of that sand back so we can save some money in some small areas. But I still say we need to shoot for the 0% increase. There's a beach, isn't there a beach fund balance like that 4.05 million on the beach? So maybe we can use that for some of the expenses on the beach. So that could help reduce our increase. School, 5 million, of course, that's a no-brainer. I thought it was 581,000, and then they got 5 million hanging around. I know 2.5 here, 2.5 there, but it doesn't seem like an awful big hit if they got $5 million set there, and we're only taking away, level fund them this time. It doesn't seem to be a problem there. And I didn't know, I know last year I thought we discussed 11% fund balance would be acceptable for financial bond ratings, and that's why I want to get down to that 11%. If we can get down to that 11%, so financially still look good. The other thing is bonds. How many bonds, what's the bond saving? How much interest are we really saving as we go between 11% and 13%, let's say? I don't see a lot of bonds. You got some road bonds, but I don't like to pay interest on a bond, so I'll even go along with increasing the road projects with the town fund balance. Get $1 million off the fund balance to reduce the bond. I don't want to go out the bonds. I don't see us needing the bonds except for roads. And I don't know if since there's such a small amount of bonding going on, I'm not so sure that we have to maintain that big fund balance just for the bond rating. At least find out let's see what the economics is anyway. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Stanley. All right, good night, everyone.